We're going to look at Java, Spring Cloud, and SOAP and development of microservices. Now this is based off Skillsoft, and they didn't go too in-depth with everything. It was just kind of a broad overview of how to make a SOAP equivalent project. And so for SOAP based projects, we import the Spring Getting Started content. For this we go to File, we go to New, we go to Other. We want to have our Spring Boot and then import Spring Getting Started content. From here we click Next, and then inside of here we would type SOAP, and then we would click Producing Web Service. So we would do Producing Web Service here. We would unclick Open, and then we would click Finish, and that would make our project. Now, two projects are going to be made. It's going to be this complete and this initial right here. So these two are going to be what's created. Inside of complete, we're going to have some Java files. And we have a JAXP package, which is XML to object mapping. That's going to be this package right here, the target generated sources. Now the first thing we can look at is country.java. Inside of here, if we scroll down, we have attributes that are binded with our XML files. So we have our XML element here. That's how we would have this. And we can see that we have some setters and we have some getters as well. We also have our get country request and get country response. And these are going to be actually returning what we're looking at. So if we look at our get country request, it's very similar to the get country response. We can see that inside of here, we pass in these roots, and then it would return these specific things. And the same thing with this one as well. So this one is a request though, and this one is a response. And then we would return these specific things. They provide XML structure for requests and response tokens that are encapsulated in our SOAP-based messages. We have our country repository, and inside of here there are certain methods which can be called in order to facilitate interaction with our endpoint. So inside of here we have our post construct, and we're creating these countries, and we're passing things in. We also have our country endpoint, and inside of our country endpoint it's going to look something like this, and this is where we're passing in the get country request, gets the response, and the response is in the form of XML, and it's powered by our SOAP. So I believe that this is like the HTTP that we're passing in. We have our get country request, and that's just going to be how it is here. And then in our country repository, it contains various countries as a repository for which services can be fetched. We can run our application as a Spring Boot. So once we have all of this done, we can go into our producing web service application.java. We want to open our producing web service application. We can see it runs as a Spring Boot. So we're going to go into our run as Spring Boot app. Now I already have something running on this port, so it's going to say application failed, but we can terminate it and then terminate and rerun it, and it should rerun this on our port. We can see that it's on our Tomcat local host, and it's starting at port 8080. So what we can do is open a web browser, and we can do localhost 8080. And then inside of here, we're going to get a white label error page, and it's because that we're just mapping with SOAP. It's internal, so it's not going to produce anything outside of here. But we can see if we run it, it's going to complete the initialization, and that was noted on this line. And that's how we would set up the SOAP equivalent example. That's just like going through it based on Skillsoft. Not amazing, but I mean, I got the idea of it a little bit.